All right, what is going on, people? This is the Cornastorepodcast. Subscribe, like, comment, share the content. Find us on YouTube, Stitcher, Google Podcast, Spotify, and iTunes. Hey, man, you had text me out the blue like, hey, let's do a video on Roe v. Wade. So why of this Supreme Court decision that you want to do content on? Like, to me, I mean, it's like it's a non-issue for me. I mean, it's nothing that I can really control. But what is it about it that you wanted to talk about?
Um, I just find it very intriguing how this country keeps on finding ways to divide each other. So we're on the next phase. Like Black Lives Matter is over, and now we're on this, abortion thing. It's like they keep on bringing up all these different subjects and different movements, and they're just shifting people and making people angry at each other. So it's like half the people in the country were happy that they reversed the decision, and then the other half were you know upset, and they were just the opposite months ago. You know, so it was like nothing has changed except for the climate around the country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these people are doing a very good job of keeping us separated and keeping us uh, angry at each other, fighting. You know, um, does a woman have a choice? Of course she does. But that choice starts with having sex with a man. It doesn't start after she has sex with a man.
Yes.
Conception starts with a sperm and an egg,
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing you can do to change that.
Now you
So
live in the state of Georgia. What's the
yeah,
status? What's the status of abortion in Georgia? Is it accessible, or will women have to go out of state in order to have those
no, they can have an
procedures?
abortion in Georgia, um, but they just changed the law. Well, actually, Governor Kemp is the first person to actually start this anti-abortion movement as far as governors. He was the first one to actually say a woman cannot have an abortion after 10 weeks, or
Mm-hmm.
what they call the presence of a fetal heartbeat. I'm sorry, a
Heartbeat.
fetal heartbeat,
Mm-hmm.
which
Okay.
means that human is alive. Okay. Um, I was looking at some things. I actually saw a video by this one girl. She's a comedian. So I don't know if she was just making up the story or she was telling the truth, but she was talking about how when she went through her abortion, the baby was screaming like while they were killing the baby inside of her. And now she's pregnant again, and she's like, "Oh, I would never do that again." But she did it once,
Mm.
and I mean, I think she said the baby was like 24 weeks.
Wow,
I mean, that's
that's
pretty developed.
yeah, it's in the second trimester, and I believe at 24 weeks the baby can survive outside the womb, but of course with some type of assistance through like a ventilator or whatever. But
Mhm. Right.
but yeah. Now I know that many blue states don't even have these type of stats, but like red states they wouldn't mind providing these type of stats. But as far as the percentages of like the reasons of why women get divorces, and it seems like over 90% of abortions that's had today are just electives. Any other subcategory when it comes to rape, incest, socioeconomic reasons, the health of the mother, like all of those fall within maybe 1%, but over 90% falls under the it's just an elective procedure.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, and I was looking up some stats on it, and they did a study, I think from 2013 to 2016, where and I specifically Googled how many women report that they've been raped when they get an abortion, and they said over a 3-year period, there was only 0.5% of women who actually said that they got an abortion because they said they were raped.
Mm, mm.
So, and I'm not saying that that's not a big number, because I think the number came out on average, it was like 337,000 children throughout the country were aborted because a woman said that they were raped. So you're talking about 1 million children over a 3-year period.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pro life. I'm not gonna apologize for that. That's the way I feel, and I have the right to feel that way. I think that every child has a right to live if they're conceived.
Now,
And I ask people this question all the time: Did Would you have want to been aborted? I know I'm glad my mama didn't abort me.
mm-hmm. Now, have you always been pro-life, or were you just evolved into having this stance of being pro-life?
No, I've always been pro life my whole life, ever since I've been a child.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Now,
I mean, I was born in a mosque. I was born as a Muslim,
yeah, most
and we believe
Muslims
in
are
preserving life.
yeah, most Muslims are conservative, and they would likely have that pro-life type of attitude about should a woman have a choice? Should she not have a choice? Yeah, I would definitely say that most Muslims would have that type of stance. So,
Right. Well, in Islamic societies, I mean, as far as I know, I never heard an abortion clinic, but
and notice where
I,
all these
I, I
clinics are located as far as Planned Parenthood. Where are they located mostly?
in black neighborhoods.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I worked for one in Memphis for one day. I got a part-time job there, and I didn't really understand the uh, the parameters of what I was going to be involved in until I got there. And I think we talked about this on another podcast. We were talking about DNCs,
What is that?
and that's what they called it. They called it a dilation, and my English is terrible sometimes. But believe it's cutledge, but basically they're taking a device which has a sharp blade on it, and there's pretty much scraping the child off the vaginal lining, especially in the early age, in the early stages of pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
It will be like, what's sad. I have a female friend of mine who just got on Facebook, and she referred to a baby being growing inside of a woman like a parasite. That's what she just said. She said an unborn child is like a parasite, and all it does is grow bigger and bigger and suck more of the energy out of a woman.
They make it seem like
Out of a woman's mouth.
the xenomorph from Alien impregnated them, and now this alien being growing inside of them. That's not the
Right.
case.
I mean, some women believe that.
Yeah.
They I don't know. You know, I got grandkids now, and I ask them questions because it, we got to teach them something. But I ask them about do you want to be a father? And they're like, no, I don't want to be no dad yet. Oh, good, you're 16. But a lot of men are not teaching these young men how to be sexually responsible.
Yeah, that's the key right there. You don't want to put
Right.
yourself in a situation in which you putting the ball in a woman's court. Like once
Right.
your fluids leave your body and end up in her body, and then you let nature takes its course, then right
He has the
the
power now.
man right the man has no say, and obviously you got the like the courts. They're pretty much gonna like take the woman's side, and pretty much 99.9% of those cases, as far as like, hey, once that stuff leaves your body, then it's totally up to her whether she wants to have the baby or not, regardless of how you feel about the situation,
Right.
because you're gonna be on the hook financially.
Right.
So I mean, even up to this point, I mean, Roe v. Wade has been around us since almost 50 years, And just
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering like why now did they strike it down? Because they could have stroking it down on year one, year two, year three since that decision. But like why now? I
Why
mean,
now? I'll
I
tell
have
you
I have
why
a
now.
theory on why now, but I just want to know why do you think that they did it now?
Well, I think, and these is my opinion, like I said, it's a way to divide us. And now, you got all these angry women and some men running around talking about, oh my God. And now they're saying, go to the polls. And the biggest thing is they're saying is, we got to get the Democrats, we got to keep them in power.
Democrats been in power since the election. They got
I
all
know.
they got all three factions of government. They got the White House, they got the Senate, and they got the House of Representatives. So
Yep. And they
you mean
got
to
the
tell
Supreme
me
Court too.
no, it's a conservative court right now. It's 6-3
Well,
because with the three liberals of being Ketanji Brown, Jackson, Sotomayor, and Elena Kagan, those are the only three
now did,
liberals.
now, did the first justice you mentioned, did she vote on this?
Yeah, she voted in favor of keeping it the law of the land.
Okay.
It was only the three. I believe Justice Roberts joined with them as well, but still, it was a 5-4 decision to
Yeah,
overturn it.
but the new judge there, she's the one that couldn't answer what a woman was to the Senate, right?
Yeah, we all know why she couldn't answer that question.
Yeah. Like I
Now,
said,
like,
man, look, they're playing games.
yeah, I
You know,
mean,
they're playing reindeer games right now. This is all this is reindeer games to get the people riled up, get the momentum going. So when it's time for election time, man, election time is gonna be nasty, man. In 24, ugh,
honestly,
it's gonna be nasty.
I really don't know if this issue is going to galvanize the voters to like keep the Democrats in power because, like, for one, people are going to likely vote for their pocketbook. I mean, we got inflation, we got high gas prices, we got money being extracted from us over to Ukraine for the wars and other foreign policy interests that's going on. So, I mean, could it move the needle a little bit? Maybe yes, but in general, people are going to vote for their wallets, and right now, majority of the country is suffering economically.
Yeah.
So, so now, now you was a corpsman in the Navy for how many years?
29 years, 8 months, and 4 days.
Okay, so has the Navy ever conducted an abortion procedure?
Yeah, they do them all the time.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Matter of fact, I just saw a video with some guy on CNN that was saying that um, what they should do, and that's what I'm talking about. This is the finagling they're doing. Okay, so now they're trying to figure out ways to get around this. So there's like we can go around the Supreme Court by just putting all these abortion clinics in federal military hospitals, and they're saying that the Supreme Court can't overrule what they do in those hospitals, which is not true. That's actually a lie.
I mean, what the
If you break the law of the land, especially in the military on a federal, I mean, that's why they gave it back to the states. And the state doesn't run those federal facilities, so they can't use them.
right? All the decision said was like abortion won't be protected under the federal statute. That's all it said. But states by
Correct.
states, they're going to kind of like make up their own rules. So, and you got these corporations that's going to provide, transportation and lodging for women who want to have an abortion in a non-aborted state. So they're gonna pay for these women to like fly to these different states. They're gonna pay for their meals, per diem meals, housing, and then as far as the procedure itself, I'm not sure about that. I actually didn't read on the actual abortion procedure itself, but as far as the whole logistics, the whole traveling and the meals and the hotels, they pretty much going to pay for it. I believe Netflix is in on it. I think Amazon in on it. Elon Musk, I believe he said he was going to chip in on it. So,
Wow.
but yeah, I mean, but hey,
Just think, hey, you know what? Just think if they had that same support for men's rights now.
yeah, it'll be a big
Yeah, I would love to
outcry.
see Elon Musk send some man to go see his children under a parental supervision. You know, and I'm not trying to change the subject, but you know, when these women don't care, and they don't care if we want to keep the child, because like you said earlier, once you give your love juice to that woman and she gets pregnant, it's pretty much the ball's in her court. But I know men who have been very upset that they got a woman pregnant and they wanted to have that child with that woman, and she was just like, nah. And
I mean, but
that
just
goes
just
back.
curious though, just curious. Like as far as percentage wise, I think that like in the case of like a man who wants a kid versus who don't want the kid, I believe that like in most cases, like if a man said that he don't want it, and then she has it anyway, those are the those are the minority of cases versus the other
They,
way around.
they are, but they don't have fathers' rights movements for nothing. There are a lot of men who want to be in their children's lives and want to have children, right?
Yeah, yeah, but like
And
kids is only one aspect of the men's rights movement. I mean, it's pretty much all of like employment, education. Yes, the family court is a huge deal on it, but I mean, it's not just that though. I mean, it's like a whole
no,
variety of
no,
different
but no, but
reasons.
I'm saying, but the fathers' rights movement is about men who are trying to get visitation and sometimes custody of their children. Most men don't want custody because we're men and we're workers, and we can't afford. A lot of us can't afford to go to work and work long hours and be able to take care of children at the same time. All right, and I'm not saying that because women do it too. I mean, they work. That they look. There's nothing that I would take away from any woman that takes care of children, but it's not fair when you have a child and then you don't let the father be part of that child's life.
Now,
So
now, listen. I have no experience with the old child support system, right? Because
yeah,
I had my two girls in wedlock, and right now everything is good. Everything is
right.
good. Now, okay, so if you were to have a 50-50 custody, does that eliminate child support from the man's standpoint? Is that
Mm,
is that the main reason why like men fight for 50-50? Because if it's 50-50, then there's no need for child support.
okay. 50-50. I don't think anyone. I think that's a rare commodity too. I don't think there's a lot of people who got 50-50.
No,
Um,
I'm saying, but like on paper, 50-50 means that no matter who has the kid, there's no resistance from like the other parent to like take the kid at their leisure and vice versa.
oh, so you mean so you just mean an open loving relationship between two mature adults that let their children be children.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, I mean, first of all, child support for most women is a punishment to the man. As soon as you don't get along with that man, all of a sudden they running down to the damn courts to put you on child support.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw a video. It's a father's right video earlier today, and this lawyer was on there, and he was saying, even if you're in a good relationship, go down to the child support office and put yourself on child support. I know I did it. I did it a couple times. I went down there and put myself on child support
Now, if a man was to
because
do
I
that,
knew because I knew if I didn't do it then, that later on I could go into arrears.
now with the man starting the whole process themselves, does that kind of like would that create like a different judgment in their favor versus if the woman was to do it? Possibly.
Well, I'm not an expert in that, but I can tell you that when I did take uh, someone to court, um, when I went down there and filed for the DNA test, they looked at me like I was crazy. And the child support system down in Memphis, Tennessee, was probably about 99% run by women. And they were nasty with me when I was down there. I asked for a DNA test, and they were nasty about it. Like I said, my message to people is teach your children to be sexually responsible, because that way they don't have to go through an abortion.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a pleasant thing to do. I mean, they're acting like, these women are going to Disneyland or something. They're getting a medical procedure done, and it shouldn't be necessary if you're having sex responsibly. You know, it shouldn't just be easy. Oh, I'm pregnant. Let me go take care of this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, I'm a God fearing man, and I don't believe God wants anyone to abort any children. Why
Now,
would he? If he gave us the power to create something, why would he want us to destroy that?
now, my theory or why they probably overturned it is because right now birth rates are down across the board, and you got the gay movement going on in which I mean, gay people obviously can't produce children. So if you got
Well,
many
no, they're
women,
having kids. They're having children.
I mean, but okay, like, but the whole concept of like two women and two men, they themselves cannot reproduce, but
They
they can
can't.
have, but they can outsource their kids.
Right. Well,
But
they're definitely outsourcing.
right,
They're
so
outsourced. Look, it's funny. One of my friends told me yesterday. He was like, "Yeah, man, I know this gay guy, but he has 3 kids. That means he ain't gay. That means he's bisexual
hmm
because he's still having sex with women." So I mean, and I'm telling, look, I know a doctor. Um, he was gay and his wife was gay, right?
so they were just
They,
swingers or just
no, no,
bisexual, a
they got
bisexual
into
couple.
they got into a marital contract where they had a child, they live with the child, but they have their other partner, which is their sexual partner, but they live together as a family, and they split the bills 50-50.
Oh, okay, oh,
It's a
okay, okay,
contract. It was a
okay,
contract.
okay.
And
Now, now,
look,
now the
and
question
that's
that I,
perfectly fine if the people are willing to sign that contract, right?
yeah,
But the only problem I've ever had with women are the ones who lie about their sexuality, and then they're trying to have babies, but they don't want to be with you, but they
right,
want to use your resources though.
right. Now,
So
you know what? Speaking of DNA tests, this only
yeah.
this study was only conducted in the UK, and of the DNA tests that they had, tested,
Hmm.
about 30% weren't the father of the kid. Now that type of study never been done here in America, but it just so happened that UK did this. I want to say maybe in 2012, 2013, and they found that 30% were like fraudulent DNA paternity cases. So
30% were so 30% were not the father.
30% was not the father.
That's a big number.
Yeah, that's
A
huge.
third. That's a
That's
third.
huge. That's huge. Yeah.
Look, look. I'm glad you said that too. Since we want to talk about, we want this Roe versus Wade thing. Do you know who Roe was?
The way I understand it was that the whole case was brought up from a huge lie from the get go. Cause Roe, I believe that she didn't want an abortion.
She no, she okay. So let me get her name here real quick because
Okay.
I just looked her up.
And while you look that up, a quick question about sailors getting abortions in the Navy. Like, if they were to get an abortion, is that going to be in their SRBs?
In their service record.
Yes.
Well, it'll be in their medical record.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, I know that we're kind of mansplaining this thing, right? So we are not doctors, but in your humble opinion, if a woman were to have one or two or three abortions in her 20s, and then she end up getting married in her 30s, and she wants to have kids like really bad with her husband. Now, would those previous abortions impede her ability to like really have kids later in life?
I don't think so.
No. Okay.
No, I mean, the a woman's anatomy is is very well put together. So, a woman has her cycle once a month. So that vaginal lining or that uterine lining, it comes apart and actually, the body gets rid of it, and then they get new tissue.
Yeah, yeah,
So
but yeah, but like the whole abortion process, though, that's a foreign procedure that the body is supposed to even take on.
right,
I mean,
no,
I'm
you're
just
absolutely right.
I'm just
But
raising a
I'm just
question
saying.
though.
Well, I mean, everyone's body is different. People react differently to different procedures.
Hmm.
I mean, you can have one person with a torn ACL and they recover from their surgery, and another person can have a terrible recovery. It all depends on the individual. You know, um, some women don't have periods, so that would be different.
Hmm.
Um, you know, are they on birth control? What's their diet like? Do they drink a lot of alcohol? Do they smoke? There's a whole lot of different, parameters that you have to look at when you have to make a decision like that. As far as can a woman have a child later on? I mean, history tells us that. Um, I mean, women can get pregnant in their 50s. It's not very highly recommended because they say that the older you are, the higher risk you are.
I mean, it's
But
not
they said there's a lot
recommended.
of other
It's not recommended from ages 35 to 40 to even get pregnant.
not recommended, right?
Yeah, but 50,
Uh,
yeah, I mean that's definitely up there. I mean, yeah, we all know that Halle Berry did it, but people shouldn't look to celebrities as like a barometer to like say, hey, Halle did it, so I think I could go and have a baby too. So
yeah. So,
yeah,
and the funny thing is, this lady, her name was Norma McCorvey.
okay.
Okay, she was from Texas, and she she took the state of Texas to court because she lied and said that several black men had raped her, so she didn't want to have that child. But she ended up giving birth to that child, and that child is not a black child or a biracial child.
It was
It was
just
a white child,
it was a pure white child, huh?
right? And
Okay.
she gave that child up for adoption.
Hmm.
And the Roe versus Wade decision was made after she had that baby and gave it up for adoption. So she never had an abortion. But let me tell you something else interesting about her.
Hmm.
And I talk about this in my book. All right. She was married to a man. His name was Woody McCorvey. She was married to him for 8 years, and she had two of his children. It's kind of ironic though, because then her spouse became a female, right?
Damn. So we're
See where?
talking in the 70s. So he was
Yeah.
a transgender man, huh?
No, no, he
Trans
wasn't
woman.
transgender. No, what I'm saying is she had her children with a heterosexual man that she was married to, but then after she broke up with him, she went to her woman, right? And that woman, well, they could say her partner, whose name was Connie Gonzalez. Okay, so this is another thing that I be talking about with especially with men. You have to really be careful who you're having a child with, because a lot of these women are in the closet with their sexuality, and they won't tell you, but they want those babies though. A lot of them have those babies. They'll leave their single straight man, and then they'll go with a one man, and it happens all the time.
Mm.
And people can't dispute this. I mean, do you think all these lesbians are having children with each other? No. And the only other way, which is also funny, they go to the sperm bank now. But those are the true lesbians. Those are ones who don't, they're not having sex with men at all.
Do you think
But they're
it's
still going,
selfish? Do
but
you
they
think?
still got to go to the sperm bank to get the male sperm, right? So you still need a man, even though you don't have a man or don't need a man. You still need a man to have the baby.
Do you think it's like
I call it the
selfish?
baby plan. But no, but I'm not upset with women who do that because they're not just trying to set some poor guy up for disappointment and child support. I
Yeah,
mean,
I get
hell.
it, but
I mean, look, any of the mother of my children could have easily went down to a sperm bank and had a child, but why didn't they? Because they needed support. They needed support. They needed my financial support. And that's all they really asked for was financial support. You know, they never encouraged any type of a loving relationship with me and my children. They never encouraged that.
I'm not sure if this is ever true or not, but there was, I believe, a case in which a woman tracked down her sperm donor because she got the sperm from a sperm bank, and
Mm,
when she tracked him down, she was able to get child support.
right,
Now, have you ever heard of that?
right, yeah.
Now, why was that even? Well, first of all, has it ever been like adjudicated in court as far as like was he on the hook for child support? As far as what you heard,
Who?
the
Oh,
guy
as
that
far as
was as far as the guy
no,
that was tracked
I
down.
okay. So I do know a guy who, well, actually, he fought it in court and he won. He won his case, but just the
Okay.
fact that they entertained the um the motion
Right. Right.
because um actually he won because the sperm receiver signed a document saying that it absolved him from that responsibility,
Oh, okay.
which which was her decision. It's still her decision because she can say no. You know what? If my child happens to find the father, yeah, he's gonna owe her some money or him or her some money. So yeah, they have to sign. They have the power, man.
Wait.
They have the
If the
power
child finds the father, why would they be obligated to give the child money?
because it's a claim. You can claim it in court. You can claim anything in court, damn near. But if you're
Wow.
under age of 18 and you like, oh, I finally found who my daddy is, and he got a lot of money, and I want some of it. Yeah, a lot of times the judge will give it to him
Wow, that's
because you're still
crazy.
obligated, man. Look, DNA don't lie.
I
It
mean,
don't lie.
know what I'm saying. I mean, but if you was to give your sperm to the sperm bank, then automatically that should absolve you from any financial responsibilities, regardless if the child found you or not.
Look, there's a loophole in everything. It's called America. There's
And
always a loophole in everything.
and it's called a top tier lawyer that can make that argument and get the courts to judge in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, um, you know, if we can change the subject just for a little bit,
Hmm.
all right. This is what I believe should happen in America now.
Oh snap!
Every single person gets a DNA test after a birth.
Oh, I
Every
mean,
person.
they floated that idea out for a while.
No, but they need to start doing it. It needs to become mandatory that everybody gets a DNA test after a birth. And that DNA needs to be registered so that if you commit a crime, if you murder somebody, if you rape somebody, if you do whatever, and your DNA is there, it's in a data. It's going to come. It's going to happen. They made movies about it called The Minority Report with Tom Cruise. Remember that?
Yeah, that was like a under a different type of like plot
It's going
though.
to happen. It's gonna happen.
I
I'm telling
mean,
you.
I see what you're saying. You're kind of like, killing two birds with one stone. So you're basically getting everyone's paternity test at the same time, collecting all those DNA samples and put them on a database. So that way, there's a national registry of like DNA that could be obtained just to make sure that people ain't committing crimes and they can kind of like find people's DNA. But I
Yeah,
mean, I understand the
or it
concept.
also say again.
I'm saying I do understand the concept, but will it ever come to fruition? I mean, probably
I
not.
think it will. But look, but this is also what it does. It also absolves people from being lied to or lied on. You know, they got that. You know, they got this term, and it's very true. They say, "Mama's baby, daddy's maybe."
And a woman made that up. I mean, like Big Mama made that up back in the 40s, 50s, 60s. That was
But I
their talking
mean,
point.
look, it's the truth. It's always going to be the mother's baby, but the daddy's is a maybe. And like you said, in England, 30% of the daddies weren't daddies. That's a lot of non-daddies.
Dude, once I found that out, I was like, that number is
I mean, can you
huge.
imagine
Yeah.
all those men paying child support for a baby that's not even theirs? That's crazy.
Hmm.
But in so another reason why I support this is because of the military's lack of holding sexual assaulters accountable for their actions in the military. You know, they do rape kits, but they got this thing called restricted reporting. So if you've been raped or sexually assaulted, whatever word you want to use, raped, um, you can report it without that person getting in trouble if you want to just get medical care. But I think since they have a DNA repository in the military, they should be sending those kits to the DNA lab and trying to find out who the person was if they were in the military.
Hmm.
Because a lot of women, they actually get they get a special status for being raped in the military. It's called military sexual trauma, MST,
That's
and
the
they get
actual
disabilities.
that's the
Yeah,
actual
if you're
diagnosis.
yes, if you're a female on active duty and you're raped, whether it's a military or not, it's considered military sexual trauma,
Mm.
and it's a huge program. But after many exonerations of men who have been falsely accused of rape over the last 50 to 100 years, all those women ain't telling the truth.
Any idea what percentage were turned out to be false
I
accusations?
don't know. I don't have the information, but all I know is that all of our DNA, your DNA, my DNA, anyone who served in the military, President Bush released all those DNA repositories to all law enforcement in the whole entire country.
How did they get our DNA? Because I
We took the
signed in '99. So how did they get my DNA
we took some blood from you and we put it on a card and we sent it to Dover Air Force Base.
without my consent?
You're no, you were in the military. You didn't have no choice. You talked about. It's like you gonna say you gonna take some shots.
Uh,
Nah, we gave you your shots, the corpsman. We took your blood. We checked your blood type. We checked you for sickle cell. We checked you for G6PD, which a lot of people don't know anything about. You ever heard of G6PD?
no. What is that?
It's an enzyme. It's an enzyme that it surrounds your red blood cells. It's just a substance. But if you don't have it, you cannot get malaria. So when you're bitten by a mosquito in certain malaria infested areas, the malaria bacteria, it binds to this particular G6PD enzyme, and so then you have to take antibiotics to kill it. But if you don't have this enzyme, you don't get malaria. It doesn't bind to the red blood cells because malaria, it kills your red blood cells. So you're literally, your blood is being destroyed by a bacteria. That's what malaria is. All right,
Now,
but they tested you for that. They tested your blood type. Um, like I said, we sent a no, matter of fact, you signed the form. It is a little card you had to sign with a pen. I'm sorry, with a pencil.
now,
And
which
they
stage?
sent it to Dover.
I'm saying, but which stage in your military career are you signing these documents? Are you signing them like as you're in processing, or while
Yeah,
you're
and boot camp.
in boot
No,
camp?
your
Okay,
first couple of days, you go to medical.
okay, all right. So
Right,
here,
everybody goes to medical like the first 3 days of boot camp, and then
okay.
they do all these different, tests on you. They check your hearing. They
Now here's
like I
my
said, they start
workaround.
giving you shots. Huh?
Here's my workaround. I enlisted July of '99. President Clinton was the president. Because Bush,
Correct.
he got elected in 2000, right? So he really didn't take off until when, like, January of '01.
Yeah, but we started doing DNA testing, and oh man, I have to look it up. But I know. See, I joined in '89, and I think I did my first DNA. I did my first DNA. I did my first sample of DNA on somebody, I think in 1993.
Yeah.
But like
Okay.
I said,
Okay.
so they
So
sent all your blood to Dover, Delaware, to the Air Force Base there, which is where they take care of all remains.
now you said President Bush signed
Yep,
that. Are we
yep.
talking Herbert Walker Bush or W. Bush?
W. Bush. So I
Okay.
think he did it in 2004 or 2005.
Also, that was after I separated.
Yeah, but your DNA is still there. They
It
didn't get rid of it.
it shouldn't be though.
No, listen, the reason why they do that is if something happens to you and they find your remains somewhere,
This is
they
what the
still
dog
can
tags are
verify that
for.
it's you.
It's what the
Huh?
dog tags are for. The dog tags. What are you talking
All
about?
right, so all right, so anyone can take your dog tags and put it on somebody else's neck.
Come on, man.
DNA, look, DNA is
uh,
absolute.
I mean,
Your
yes,
DNA is absolute.
I understand it's absolute, but that's why we wear
So,
dog tags because there's a
right.
protocol.
You remember getting this X-ray on your jaw where you can see the whole entire part of your jaw?
Yeah, when I was getting like a dental examination, yes.
Right. So we also use that for remains also. So a copy of that is in your record. So matter of fact, they've had to use it on people who were decapitated.
Well, mine is no good because after I separated, I had gotten some braces, so my teeth are going to be different now versus when I was in.
Uh, there's still other things that they can identify, like your jawline. Uh, Trust me, it's more than just braces because the panel. I'm telling you, the panel, it's so wide that I mean they're taking a picture from here and it goes all the way around to here, but it's all flat. So it looks like this long, even though we're only like this. But like I said, those are the three ways that they identify remains. Dog tags, the panel, and DNA. And they
Okay.
still use DNA. I mean, they're still finding World War II remains over in Japan and other places. And when they bring it back, they test it.
Okay.
Um, and they have a program where they also take DNA from family members. So if they do find some remains, they can try to match it as easy as possible.
Okay. Yeah.
But but all I'm saying, so getting back on point, if they knew everyone's DNA, a lot of these and this is the sad part. If you tell service members, look, your DNA is available to the whole entire world. So you can spit on the sidewalk and we'll know you were there. maybe that will reduce the amount of sexual um, harassment, sexual assault, rape, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
because we got your DNA. And if you're in the military, I mean, your rights are limited anyway. But 10,000 men annually, according to a Pentagon report, are being raped in the military every year. 10,000 males.
Are we talking about like males in a brig or just
Ah,
all in one?
shoot, everywhere.
Yeah.
I was on the ship. I was on the ship once where this guy, he was going around touching people, and they ain't do nothing about it. And he eventually raped this guy on the ship.
Mm.
I mean, we also have to tell these young men, you know, you don't have to just look out for women. You also have to look out for men because they're out here sexually assaulting each other too. You know,
Yeah.
so I know that doesn't have anything with Roe versus Wade, but Jane Roe, whose name we already said, her real name, she was a liar. And they got the decision because she lied and said that she was raped. Which is funny because we in the beginning we talked about what about 1% of females that get an abortion
Mm-hmm.
are in that particular condition.
Right.
1%, but that 1% and that word rape is supposed to forget about all the 99% of those who were just being sexually unresponsible.
Yeah.
And I can say that because I was sexually unresponsible as a young man.
I mean, the whole like abortion
I'm not.
thing.
I'm not pointing the finger. Look, I'm pointing the finger, but I got four more that's picking. I got four more that's pointing back at me, and I just happen to have four baby mamas too.
Right.
So I'm not sitting here saying it's because I'm a saint. I'm saying it's because I've made mistakes.
Yeah, like I said earlier, as far as like my theory on why they finally did this after 50 years is because birth rates are down, and the way that they're like women treated, like the whole abortion process, it was just an elective procedure. It was pretty much Plan C. They got the Plan B pill, but abortion was like Plan C, and abortion is supposed to be rare but accessible. And it just seems like since 1973, whenever Roe v. Wade was executed, it just seemed like women just kind of went buck wild, and that was during the old sexual revolution, and women had more rights as far as in the workplace and more educational opportunities, and they just wanted to kind of like beat their own drum, but fast forward to today, across the board, like I said, birth rates are down, and people are using it as birth control instead of
Right,
being
and it's
more
not birth control.
sexual, instead of being sexually responsible.
Right.
So, but yeah,
I mean,
man. I mean,
birth control pills isn't birth control. Birth controls don't control no birth. They should stop calling them birth control pills and call them conception control pills because that's what they are. They're supposed to stop you from conceiving. But let's talk about that too.
mm-hmm.
You know, I tell young men, I don't care if a woman's on the pill. You still got to wear a condom. They don't stop you from getting HIV or herpes or gonorrhea or chlamydia
Yeah,
or
man.
syphilis.
Yeah, man should be strapping up regardless of like like a woman's contraceptive status. I mean, you're right, strap up because you don't want to get STD. I mean, that just
Right.
plain and simple. So I mean,
Or I know men um, who told me that their wives stopped taking their birth control pills to get intentionally pregnant and then ask for a divorce.
I mean,
Like you actually got women out here who would get pregnant
those are
and
probably
then
rare.
divorce you.
I think those are rare.
Look, things are things are rare, but you don't want that rare thing to happen to you.
Yeah, I understand. I get
So
that
you
part,
still have to be careful.
but we should make arguments and for like the rare cases to be the actual rule because
Well,
it's like arguing
then
in bad
they need to
faith.
stop using the 1% rate thing then, which
Right,
is what they're doing.
right. They should
Right.
stop doing that. Exactly. It kind of taints the whole conversation. So if you're going to keep it a buck, keep it a buck. Women are using it as birth control, plain and simple. As far as those other
Yeah.
categories of why they getting them, those are literally accounting for at most 1% of all abortions had since 1973.
Yeah. I know a woman who had 4 abortions, but she was looking for a husband to have a baby. But she had 4 different abortions by four different guys. She was like, they weren't the right one. So I'm like, well, I guess you just, I guess their dipstick is just going to keep on going into your engine until you get the right oil.
Mm.
And she didn't feel the slightest bit remorseful about it at all.
I mean, one
And
day that day will come. I mean, I think that all women will have like a moment of clarity at like some point in their lives, as far as like, oh, on such and such date, I had an abortion. I mean, they, I'm sure they like reflect on like those past decisions. I mean, they probably don't do it while they're still living their hot girl summers, but later on in life, I'm sure that they all will have some self reflection on it.
right. Well, the only time that I uh, was in a operating room and helped do a procedure was when we had this young lady, and she came in there and she had really bad abdominal pain. And after they did the ultrasound, they found out that the baby was growing in her fallopian tube, and they call it atopic pregnancy,
Uh huh.
and it's deadly. Like literally, the baby is growing and it's going to burst the fallopian tube, and then the woman will bleed out. And I mean, it's deadly.
So you were in the room doing a procedure?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, this happened in 1993 at Naval Hospital, Great Lakes, and she was a student in one of the schools there, and she couldn't bear the pain anymore. They did the pregnancy test. Of course, it came back positive, and then they had to find out where the baby was. So, like I said, she was in one of the fallopian tubes, and I was an anesthesia tech. So my job was to help put her to sleep. And then when I tell you that she was begging for us to put her to sleep,
Now,
she was squeezing my hand and she was like, "Please, can y'all put me to sleep? Please, I'm in all this pain."
how far
You
along in the
know,
pregnancy was she at that moment?
I don't know. Like I said, I didn't. I was in there for the procedure. I mean, you know what the procedure is. They always tell you before you go in there.
Hmm.
But they were like, "Yeah, this is an atopic pregnancy. We got to go in there and we got to, get the baby out of the tube before it ruptures." And I mean, she was in pain,
Hmm.
and I'll never forget. Like I said, I was I was holding her hand, and she was squeezing it, and she almost broke my hand. But when the anesthesia started kicking in, she just let her hand go, and we did what we had to do, and we saved her life. And I was glad to be there and be part of saving her life.
Hmm.
That's what I did. I love people, and I've always tried to help people.
Now, as far as your stands on being pro life, as far as that specific case, I mean, you definitely would recommend that woman have gotten an abortion because they're like there was no way she was going to survive that had the
Well,
baby
well,
kept
it
growing
wasn't.
and growing.
Well, see, she didn't have an abortion. Um,
Also, that
she had a
wasn't
light.
that
No, it
wasn't
was no,
classified as an abortion.
no, no. That was considered a emergency, life-threatening emergency. We ain't say we get doing no abortion right now. No, we are saving this woman's life
Now,
because she was going to die on us.
abortion advocates would probably chalk that up as an abortion.
I mean, they can call it what they want to, but You know what? It's very interesting. You got all these people out here that talk about all this stuff, and they ain't doctors. They ain't never been in no. They probably never seen an abortion. Probably never had anything to do with one. But they're out there in the streets just yelling at other people because of their beliefs.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Now,
you know,
now, even like the
I told you I had a
subcategories.
job at Planned Parenthood, right?
Yeah.
I quit the next day. You know how
Now,
many women were in that? You know how many women were in that waiting room? It was like 50 women in there.
in Memphis.
Yeah,
Now,
and they were all white. I'm sorry. They were all black or Hispanic women. There wasn't a white woman among them.
I mean, was it in a
Now, of
black
course,
neighborhood?
no. This was Planned Parenthood in Memphis is downtown. Uh, Memphis has more hospitals than anything else as far as a business. They got, I mean, but then again, it's the most central location for the Mid South. So they're taking care of people in rural areas in Arkansas, Mississippi, sometimes Kentucky. Um,
Illinois, Indiana. I mean, every bordering
no,
state
not
of
Indiana.
Tennessee.
Some part of Upper Alabama. Like if there's a serious accident or anything, you got to go to Memphis. They life flight people there all the time. But but like I said, it was a little part time job. I just I work in the medical field, so I was like, man, yeah. I was recommended by a friend. It was like, yeah, it's an easy job, blah blah blah. And when I went in there and I saw all them women in there waiting to get an abortion, I was like, nah, I'm in the wrong place. This is not for me.
They probably said it was an easy job because you always had clients.
Look, I don't want to have anything to do with killing anything.
Right.
I really don't. Um, that is my creed as a person, as a human on this planet. I don't want to kill anything.
Now, I mean,
I value all lives.
now, cuz, like, I mean, I was kind of blown away when you told me that how that procedure wasn't classified as an abortion. I mean, even that was like a rare case of an abortion to me in my book. That was an abortion, but as far as in the subcategories that I had talked about earlier, I mean, that would be like a less than 1% case of why the woman's life was in danger and she needed an abortion. But like you
Right.
said, you weren't class. Well, they didn't classify that as an abortion back then, but like to me, it screams of an abortion. I mean, a fetus was taken out because of the life of the mother. So I would understand why that would be an abortion.
Right. Well, like I said, they call it a DNC or they call it uh, curettage. And it says a procedure to treat or diagnose uterine conditions by removal of tissues from the uterus. So an atopic pregnancy is in the fallopian tubes. So it's not the same procedure. Um, and a lot of times, I think they also lose. Matter of fact, you know what? Let me look that up here. It's called etopic. I'm sorry. So it's known as an interuterine pregnancy or tubal pregnancy.
Hmm.
Okay, and urgent medical attention is usually recommended in severe cases by healthcare providers. It may be dangerous or life threatening. It's very rare, fewer than 200,000 cases per year in the U.S. It's treatable by a medical professional. Uh, Often requires lab testing or imaging. And let's see here. They say that a lot of times it's due to women who have um, pelvic inflammatory diseases, which are STDs,
Mm.
which makes sense because you're going to have inflammation there when you have an infection, and that egg can get caught up in that infection part and not be able to continue the rest of the path out of the fallopian tube into the uterus.
Mm.
But
Wow.
you know, it's a serious condition, and I would never say, oh well, let's not take the baby out of the fallopian tube. But at the same time, I have to ask another question. Have you ever heard of a woman going to a sperm bank to get pregnant and then wanted an abortion after she got pregnant?
It's if they have, then more than likely it was because of the health of the
A health
mother.
reason,
Right.
right?
That's
A
probably
health
that's
reason.
probably the
But
only
but
reason.
but, but it's just not like elective saying, oh well, I'm going to go get pregnant at the sperm bank, and then 6 weeks later I changed my mind. I don't want to have a baby.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And like I said, I respect those in the LGBT community that do use sperm donors, because at least they're not lying to some man and making him go through hell, not being able to see his child and paying all this child support for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say nothing, I'm talking about, you know, men who want a return on their investment, which is to know who their children are, and they know who their father is. You know, so do I understand that women want to get an abortion because they got pregnant by the wrong guy? Of course. But we got to teach them stop having sex with the wrong guys.
It's
To
all
me, that's
about
the solution.
yeah, it's about
Prevention
decisions
is the
and
solution.
consequences. So, but yeah, man, it is a yes, it's been a pleasure, man. And once you had texted me that you want to talk about it, I mean, I was kind of like, um, I really didn't feel one type of way about it. I was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, yes, at the federal level it has no protection, but women can still get their abortions, but you got to be at
Yeah.
a certain
I
state.
mean,
So, but
and like I said, those states that are totally banning it, I mean, just move out of state. People move all the time for different reasons. People leave places because they don't like the people in the town, because um, you may have some towns that are inherently more racist than other towns. Um,
but people ain't gonna move for that reason. I mean, like one of the number one reasons why people move is for economic reasons, not because
right.
of access to abortion. Access to
Yeah,
abortion per
but
se.
but that's the thing. The women who do get abortions a lot of times because um, they say they can't afford to have a baby. So it is economic to some of them. Just like some get pregnant. And look, I just saw a TikTok earlier, right before we got on, and she was up there talking about how forget abortion. Don't you girls know that once you get pregnant, you can get life insurance on your baby? If the baby dies, you can get $10,000 life insurance policy. Don't you know you can get food stamps and Section 8 housing and all this? So why y'all worrying about abortion?
Well,
You got benefits coming, girl. I'm just saying that's how a lot of these women are thinking. They're like, the government will take care of you. If you got a deadbeat dad, the government will take care of you. It's like they don't care.
that is a low IQ
You know?
way of thinking, as
Well,
far as the
yeah,
little
and that's the
trinkets you
problem.
can
We need
get.
to we need to start teaching our children to start caring about each other,
Yeah, I
because
agree
there's
with
a
that.
lot of non-caring going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey,
But
man.
hey, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you were available, and I mean I've been so busy for the past couple of days trying to plan and like a number three birthday party. And yesterday I was like trying to build up this little cabin or whatever, which took me like 3 hours, and I had to clean out like a room, had to get some stuff together to like donate to the Goodwill. I mean, just so much stuff, just
Okay.
just kind of just all scattered around the house. So I mean, good thing I had like a little energy to even do this because I got to wake the baby up now, so I'll be up at least until 8 o'clock tonight. Right now it's almost 3 o'clock p.m. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so I need the energy to truck along. So, but yeah, man, I appreciate you, man. And when something else comes up, man, we'll be right back.
All right,
We'll be right
appreciate you,
back.
man.
All right, man. You take it easy.
All right, later.
All right, peace. See ya.